Hey guys, hope you're doing well. Zero here. Um, this evening I decided to start something new that I haven't done before, which is a podcast on my channel. And the idea is just to sort of just have a chat with you guys. Well, obviously one-way chat, a monologue more like, um, in sort of to carry on keeping in contact with you guys. Since my level of content has been somewhat low lately, and this is a mixture of many things, both personal and professional life, as well as time and everything else, which I'm gonna get into more into this video. But before I do that, I just thought I'd quickly introduce myself once again. I've done it probably sometimes before in my previous videos, but I thought I'd do it properly this time and actually introduce who I am and what I do. So you all know me as 013 or Zero, whichever you prefer. I originally started this channel just to share content on tactical gaming, more specifically gaming that concerned Ghost Recon Breakpoint. That was the sort of the entry game that put me on the map as far as my content was concerned. Um, However, I thought it'd be opportune to sort of explain to you guys what sort of gaming I really enjoy, because some of you probably have been confused by the latest stuff that I've been recording and putting on my channel, which has probably sent some sort of confusion amongst many of you. And I've noticed it because lately the number of subscribers that I've had on my channel has diminished somewhat. So I thought I actually better explain myself. Well, I began gaming at the tender age of about 9 or 10. Um, yeah, I'd say 1986, 1987. So when I was about around about that time, I started. And how I started was a cousin of mine. He got an Atari, and with the Atari, he got a game which um, he bought, which until then I had no idea existed, was a flight simulator by the name of F-19 Starfighter, which for those of you who don't know was a old flight simulator game made by Microprose, which was was at the time was revolutionary, if you like, CGA graphics. This game was so old, in fact, it came on cassettes, and it took almost half an hour to load. And you put the cassettes in, you press play, and it loaded into the console, and it made weird noises, like it sounded like a very long fax, like you're sending a very long fax. Yeah. Good old days. So yeah, and that sort of kicked off my whole love for gaming. That's when I realized, even at that young age, that this is something that I really like. This is something I really enjoy, and it wasn't even ours. So when I had the chance to go spend time at my cousin's house, me and my brother and my cousins, we all got together, and we played this game. We had this little Atari joystick, and we flew the plane around. I think it took about 10, 11 missions to understand how to actually fire a missile, and then another 10, 20 missions to actually successfully shoot down a plane. And when we did, we were like, we were we were full of joy because we were young. We didn't really understand what we were doing at the time, and it was something that it was a learning curve for all of us. So good times. So yeah, coming back to I digress. Coming back to what I was originally saying. My first and real love for games was in flight simulator, specifically combat flight simulation. That's what I really liked. The gaming as far as tactical first and third person shooters came a lot later. In fact, that is somewhat much later, because the when I got my very own first computer when I was a teenager, it was a 286. um, Again, for those of you who don't know, a 286 was a very old Intel chip. Basically, to give you an idea, um, Pentiums, which are the Intel sort of the entry level of the I cores that you know. The first one was the Pentium. Pentium was a 586, and before that was a 486. Before that, the 3, and then the 286. So 286s, which came out in early 90s, were sort of a mid-range computer, and with it came 8 megabytes, not gigabyte, 8 megabytes of RAM, which at the time was considered okay. And then I eventually upgraded to 60 megabytes of RAM, which made my PC at the time a top-notch. Don't ask me what the graphics card was. I don't think graphics card actually, there were graphics card, but I just think back then they were just implemented. There were no exterior stuff. Anyway, again, I'm digressing. So that was my first computer, and then with that, I flew my first simulators, which were the F-117 this time, not the F-19. I think was also, there was the A-10 one that I flew around. There was a AV-8B one, or a Harrier one that I flew. They were the old ones that came out a long time ago, and also Gunship 2000. Those were the flight simulators that I enjoyed and I loved tremendously at the time. And then that computer packed up, and for a few years we didn't have a computer until eventually my parents gifted me with a Pentium, my first Pentium. I think it was a Pentium 2 or Pentium 1, one of the two. Anyway, it was I'm not sure at the time, but it was made by a company named Compaq, which I think they don't exist anymore. They were bought off, and it was sort of their answer to the Apple all-in-one CD player, sort of iMac kind of look thing to it. But it was good enough to load up with my next love of game, my next combat simulator, which was Digital Image Design's EF-2000, which is based on the Eurofighter Typhoon. It was supposed to be a fully fledged, realistic at the time, a combat simulator. It had a manual as thick as a brick, and you had to read the whole thing half the thing just to learn how to take it off. Which then you realize later on wasn't that complicated. But with that computer, I then discovered a new form of gaming which I really loved, which was strategies. So the first ever being the very famous, the very well-known Command and Conquer. A friend of mine at school, a schoolmate of mine, introduced me to it, and I played it, and I actually, I liked the first one, but I preferred Red Alert, the Red Alert series, because I liked the whole Soviet and NATO fighting each other thing. I thought that was more fun at the time, and with that came my love for strategy games. And at the time before that, everybody used to read about Dune 2000, which was a well-known strategy game, but I never really got into that. But I did get into the Red Alert series of Command and Conquer. And after that, I discovered Civilization 2, and from that on, I've always followed that series. So basically, as you can see, I had developed a love for games. They were not just shoot 'em ups. They weren't just there were games that required a certain amount of level of thinking and planning, and this is why as you can see, why I'll get into tactical. Having said that, I have played Quake. I liked Quake. I liked Doom. I liked actually my favorite was none of those two. My favorite was Duke Nukem 3D. That was my favorite at the time. First person shooter. I even played Wolfenstein, the original Wolfenstein. I think Wolfenstein 3D it was called, and then didn't really get into that. But those games I played for fun, as no-brainers. You switch off your brain and you just go around shooting aliens. So that even though they did have puzzles from time to time, I didn't really, get deeply into those games as much as I did into the strategies and the combat flight sims that I was playing on my Compaq at the time. So now, having said that, I lost my trail of thought there. So yeah, I enjoyed these games, and then at 1999 I was in the UK, because I don't come from the UK. I come from South Africa, but I was in the UK. I was living in a small town in Evesham, which is just near Stratford upon Avon, and I had made enough money at the time to buy myself a PS1, because I was missing gaming, so that was the only thing I could afford. I bought a PS1, and I bought Rainbow Six, which came in the PS1 version, which I found out later was actually different to the slightly different to, well, quite a bit different to the PC version. And it was Rainbow Six that is sort of the gateway to my love of tactical games and first-person tactical and planning and learning how to deal with teams, and realize that it wasn't about an individual but more about how teamwork was important. And I think that is an element that Rainbow Six really brought into the gaming world, and I think even games nowadays it's just completely lost. If you look at the Call of Duty series, if you look at even the Ghost Recon series, there's too much individuality involved in the characters. They make Nomad this hero, which is fine, but I think the whole point of the original Rainbow Six was that it was not about the individual hero, it was about the team and the teamwork and how the team worked together to succeed in a mission, in a difficulty, almost impossible odds, and that's what made it so great. And this carried on with the Rogue Spear, and it carried on again with Raven Shield, and all the DLCs that came with it. And until then, it was a fantastic game. And then what was the next? I can't remember what the next one before the Vegas series. It was Longhorn or something. Don't quote me on it. I actually do not remember that one. There was one that came, and it started setting anyway when this Rainbow Six came out after Raven Shield. This one started setting off alarms because it was introducing a more linear gameplay. But I know I was still into gaming a lot. I was still playing a lot at the time. I was more student, less work. So I thought, let's just get into it. But I didn't really get into that one. Got Vegas 1 and Vegas 2, and again, although it was linear gameplay, eventually they introduced the team deathmatch thing, and I love the fact that you could lean on walls and that you could shoot behind walls and that you can, tell all your teams to stack up and throw grenades and stuff like that. I thought it made me close a blind eye because it had that element to it, which the previous one, I could not remember the name, did not. The previous one was just first person shooting. That was that. But it was already clear to me that there were changes going on in the Clancy world. But at the time, I didn't think of that much, because then the Splinter Cell series came, and I loved the first Splinter Cell. I loved the second one, and I absolutely adored Chaos Theory. It's, for me, still today, is the best ever Splinter Cell that came out. It was fantastic. The gameplay was fantastic. The stealth gameplay, the stealth element was the gadgets that you use, albeit some of them unrealistic, was still really, really great. At the end of the day, I'm not. I just want to say something quickly. Just as a note, as a disclaimer. Yes, I love realism, but I like gameplay. I also like to have for a game to have a certain element of fun to it. It doesn't have to be like uber realistic to the point that, like, for instance, Ground Branch. I tried Ground Branch on my my laptop that just about managed to make it run, and although it is a good game, the problem with Ground Branch is apart from the fact that you play alone, it's too realistic, and to be a certain element of fun is being killed in that kind of game. But I've never played in multiplayer, so please don't take my comment too hard, because just consider it my point of view, and that doesn't really matter in the great gaming world out there. But yes, anyway, so this is it. So to come to a conclusion, what I'm originally trying to say is that to make you guys understand why I'm uploading certain videos, especially lately, is that my love for games goes from simulation, combat simulation, flight simulators, to strategy games like Command and Conquer, and nowadays like things like Civilization 6 and so on and so forth, to the tactical gaming, which at the time, for a while, was really successful, but I think now it's just been kind of killed. So anyway, before I talk to that further, a lot of you are probably asking where I get the name 013 from. So when I was a young teenager, I always liked house music, trance, fall to the floor beats, that kind of stuff. And there was a particular series that I used to listen to a lot, which is called the Global Underground. Which introduced a type of style which is known as progressive and deep house, so more listening house music, less dancey type. And the one that has always been my favorite was this one, this one here, which is by Sasha, who's still a DJ who still nowadays tours a lot and does his sets live. And the series, the Global Underground series, goes on numbers. So there's 01, which I think was in London, I think. Then 02 was in another city, 03, 0, and he did the first one. Sasha did his first one, actually was in 09, which was in San Francisco, which is also good. But my favorite from his was 013. And this is where 013 comes from. So I originally wanted to call myself Sasha 013, which is a name I've always been using, but I was obviously already spoken for, so I just took 013. And that's it. Now you know where my name comes from. Now let's talk about the game that I've been playing a lot of my on my channel. I've been loading a lot on my channel, which is Ghost Recon Breakpoint. Now, when I first played this game, I really loved it. I really got into it. I loved the flow of it, the gameplay of it, the good, albeit limited, amount of commands that you can give to your team, the type of missions. Aroa was a great place to wander around. Good open world, good weapons, good feel. Really good game, but it had some thorns that eventually just got the best of me, which the biggest one being is the drones, and the superbly unrealistic drones and the sounds they make and what they do. And also another thing as well was the AI, both from the drones and from your teams and from the enemy, that can see you miles and miles and miles away. Well, no, they can't actually see you miles and miles and miles. That's what I mean. I mean, they can see through walls sometimes, which is a bit ridiculous, but yeah, I correct myself there. And I have my cat just going crazy. I have 3 cats, 3 little monsters. And one of them's gone mad because he thinks I'm talking to myself, so it makes him go crazy as well. He's a black cat, so he's particular. Isn't that right? Hey? He's too shy now because he knows I'm recording. Anyway, so this game I really loved, but eventually, as I wrote after a while, after I finished the last campaign, which was Operation Motherland, I realized that I was just playing for the sake of playing, and not playing because I enjoyed it. And I had hope for content because I had bought. I would like to say as well, I made the mistake of buying the Ultimate Edition of the Wildlands, and I thought, there's Wildlands. I'll play this for a while. I'll get into this, eventually I'll do the missions, I'll enjoy it, and for a while I'll let Breakpoint rest. But I'm afraid to say I just could not get into it as much as I could with Breakpoint. And if you're wondering why, well, I just can't put my finger into it. I just don't know why. I can't get into this game. Maybe if I played it before I played Breakpoint, which I wish I did now, I probably would have had a different approach to it. I don't know. Maybe I don't have the patience for it to go through, get all the content again and unlock stuff and that kind of stuff. It's just, I don't know why I can't get into this game anymore. Somebody even mentioned the fact that it's got like a lower frame rate compared to Breakpoint, which is supposed to be always 60 FPS and this is always 30 FPS, something in those lines. I don't know if that's the case, but truth is, I just never got into this game as much as I'd hoped I would, and I was at a loss. I was stuck. I realized, crap, what am I going to do now? What am I going to give to my viewers now? Because I don't have anything to give them. So I was looking desperately for alternative. I started alternatives. I started looking for other stuff that maybe you guys would be interested in. For instance, maybe putting some Ghost Recon Future Soldier, but that didn't work out for me because I tried to load it on my console. It didn't work correctly. There was something happened, and I don't want to dwell into it. This, by the way, was and still is one of my favorite. Has the best campaign in all the Ghost Recon series, all of them. It's got fantastic gameplay and a fantastic campaign. I really love this game. The biggest thorn in this game is the fact that they didn't have a lot of other elements in single player. Like just side missions or open world missions and stuff like that. Not as open world as Aurora, but at least like in a small, half the size of Gollum Island kind of size, where you just do team deathmatch or hostage rescue kind of missions. I think if they had introduced this in this game, it would have been a killer, but they never did. They just had an online multiplayer thing to it, which is a pity, because the surprising thing about Ghost Recon Future Soldiers is that there are gameplay elements to the soldiers that not even Breakpoint has, and I find that really strange. Anyway, Ubisoft obviously knows more than I do. So yeah, I just introduced Tiny Combat Arena, which is a sort of a simple combat fun simulation. I tried to think about doing stuff on Twitch as well, but that never really went through. Anyway, the point is that I I tried to come up with other solutions, and it just wasn't working for me. And then add to the fact that time is not really a factor of mine most of the year, because the job that I do requires a lot of time. I work 6 days a week. I work, almost 10 hours every day, except for Saturdays. I would just work half a day, but because my job requires a lot of preparation before I do things, so it takes a lot of time. There's a lot of stress. I've had a big change in my life as well, and the thing that I have is threat risk. So anyway, it's not your concern. The point is that I've been really, very busy, and so I haven't been able to fully keep on my content creation, content stuff on my channel as much as I would like to. And that's it. So I'm going to conclude this video by saying I'm apologizing for not as being more quiet than I have been when I used to be. I'll try to find alternatives. Maybe hopefully I'll get some back into Ghost Recon or some other game to bring in more content. Also, you've got to consider the fact that I have a PS4, and I think a lot of their things now are going to go into PS5 exclusive. So this is it. I'm going to be bringing out more podcasts talking about the future of gaming and what my opinion of it. And I want to divide the podcasts, the next ones, into the future of gaming, my thoughts on it, and maybe hopefully they can share your thoughts on it as well. And I'd also like to eventually also have a podcast on a dream game, fantasy, because imagination, sky's the limit. You can come up with whatever game you want to, and I'd like to sort of think about, share you guys some ideas of some games that I had, including one where I have this idea that eventually I want to share what I think they could do with the Ghost Recon, and how it could be changed to play in another way, completed that what I think would bring a new, fresh perspective to it. So I'm going to conclude this podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I hope you enjoyed listening to my voice. If you would like more of these, please let me know. I'm going to carry on doing them for a while because I like to share my thoughts. I have more time now in summer to do so. Any feedback, anything that you want me to talk about, please feel free to write in the comments below. If you enjoyed this, I'd appreciate the subscription. It would really help me a lot. Even just because it boosts to see that there are more people interested in my thoughts and the things that I do. And that's it. Okay, thanks for listening. Take care and stay safe, and speak soon. Bye bye.